What if hiring could be easier, more streamlined, and less time-consuming? So even when you're busy, you could still be smart about the way that you hire. With ZipRecruiter, you can post your job to over 100 of the web's leading job boards with just one click. So you can rest easy knowing your job is being seen by all the right candidates. Then, ZipRecruiter puts its smart matching technology to work, actively notifying qualified candidates about your job within minutes of posting so you receive the best possible matches. That's why ZipRecruiter is different. Unlike other hiring sites, ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on the right candidates finding you, it finds them. No wonder 80% of employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site in just one day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Find out today why ZipRecruiter has been used by growing businesses of all sizes and industries to find the most qualified job candidates with immediate results. And now, my listeners can post jobs on ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/J&J. J-A-N-D-J. That's ZipRecruiter.com/J-A-N-D-J. One more time to try it for free. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/J&J.
Want an easy way to see if you could save money on car insurance? Geico gives you 3. Call 1-800-947-AUTO. Go online to geico.com or stop by the Geico office nearest you. 3 ways you could save 15% or more.
And now, Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio.
When I pop the trunk, head the day. Y'all pop the trunk, I pop the hood. Now act stupid, I'll pop the trunk. Now give me your boom, boom, boom.
Kylie, she's the best.
He is Jalen Anthony Rose.
What up, doe?
I'm David Jacoby.
And on the cool check-in, center stage, on the mic.
And we putting it on wax. It's the new stuff.
Man, that's cold.
We're Jalen Jacoby. What do we do?
We get me on Instagram. I'm thinking about it. I'm truly thinking about it. At me and tell me why I need to join. Other than that, we give people what they want.
Jalen, you messed up the intro this time. We could talk about you on Instagram after the intro, after you sing, but
no, I had to do it on the intro. Here's what I learned.
No.
There are people like you that only listen to the first 30 seconds.
First of all, I skip through the first 30 seconds because that's usually an ad or whatever, and then I get to the pod, and then I listen to it because we give the people what they want. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll always give you a dope pod to step to. Another day without radio. We just did the TV show, but we'll always have podcast exclusive content. We are starting the show for the second straight day with a little bit of Ball family slander. But this time it is much more warranted than before. Lonzo Ball had a matchup against the Knicks, and he showed up to Madison Square Garden in Nasir Jones' hometown wearing this sweatshirt with his face replacing Nas's on the It Was Written album cover. Jalen, why in the world would Lonzo Ball wear this sweatshirt to a New York Knicks game? Why?
I want to teach everybody a term that they may or may not have heard before. Don't beat down. And I know initially Nas was like, here's a young fella. He's in his early 20s. He probably don't know about the movement. Big baller brand trying to make a name off of me. I'm going to just ignore it. He knows my history. He has to because he's walking around with a hoodie time and time again depicting my personal image of classic material that I put into the universe. So I'm just going to let it rock. I'm maybe going to date Nicki Minaj. I'm maybe going to open a chicken and waffles restaurant in NYC. I'm just going to do me. Because, Jalen, you know, 20 years ago, when we were at the Century Club in Los Angeles, hanging out, and you were rocking your Carl Kanaz, and we had the mean mugs and the eyes slanted, he wasn't even born. So I'm not going to even dignify that with a response.
You know what
but
happened?
When you come to my hometown, and you play against the Knicks, and you have the audacity to do this, oh, man, he about to get an ether.
Here's what happened is Nas had been pushed so far that he kind of sort of responded. On Instagram, he put a big Knicks logo up after the overtime Knicks win. But here's the thing for Lonzo. I haven't listened to every Africa Bambaataa song. I don't have Africa Bambaataa albums. But you know what I would never do? Slander Africa Bambaataa because he is a legend. Sure, Lonzo, you might not know a lot about Nas, but someone around you needs to tell you to stop going at Nasir Jones. Of all the people, of all the celebrities, stories of all the rappers, of all the everything. Why are you going after Nas of all people? Like, he is unequivocally, objectively one of the best rappers of all time. Whether he's in your top 5 or your top 10, he's in everybody's top 20. It's insane that he does this over and over again.
Well, first off, hit the brakes.
Okay.
Hit the brakes. Nas is in everybody's top 5, not top 10, not 20. When you talk about consistently delivering bars, and here's the other thing. This young man has the nerve, the audacity to call himself, besides a basketball player, an MC?
Oh, yeah, he's a rapper. I've heard some of his raps, and not quite up to the Nas level yet. And I love Lonzo Ball's basketball game. I even love his personality. It just seems so out of character for him to perpetuate this thing with, of all people, Nas. He's so calm, and I love his game. People talk about he can't shoot, he's struggling. No, he's not struggling. He had a great game. He's catching alley-oops, throwing passes. It was just, I don't imagine why he is doing this. Maybe he's doing it just so we talk about him?
It was a terrific family affair to see my dad, LeVar, sitting courtside with my stepbrothers and stepmom and him playing well. No question about it. It was great to see that. But however, let me peel back the onion just a little bit.
Okay.
While we talk about the bluster of LeVar and how vocal he is, and we applaud Lonzo because he's quiet, he just goes about the effort. When you continue to wear a Nas icon shirt with your face depicted on it, that's really loud.
You're not
that's
making
screaming.
friends.
That's a pink suit with a pink car.
You're losing
like
more
Pinky
respect.
In Friday.
You are
question
losing more
about
respect than you're gaining by doing this, Lonzo. Please trust us. Moving on, more LeVar Ball news. But this time it's a little different. Reportedly, the Lakers front office called in LeVar Ball to a meeting and asked him to tone down his antics, asked him to stop criticizing coaches, and create a better, more nurturing environment for his son on the Lakers. Jalen, do you think LeVar Ball will actually change his behavior after this meeting?
I think he will, but here's what's going to be different. He's just not going to criticize the coaching staff. For those that probably haven't been to the close to the foxhole as they think, these type of conversations happen all of the time. With agents, with managers, with family members, with mates, spouses. The list goes on and on of people that have a vested interest in said athlete or just have selfish feelings and they need to see the athlete do well so they can benefit. Either way, the bottom line is you always have people that care about your best interest more than they care about the team. Because here's how this works.
How's it work?
The team can go 82-0 and win the championship. But if you ain't playing and you ain't contributing, you'll get your ring, but you won't be back. And so how do you make a name for yourself? Being a productive player and playing to your capability. So I understand that when LeVar talks loud and when he's present, I can't front. Lonzo does play better, which is why I have a solution. I don't just talk about problems.
Don't say it. Don't say it. I know what you're going to say. You can't say this on wax.
And we putting it on wax.
If LeVar can sit in the front row at Madison Square Garden and you don't want to put him on the staff, I have a suggestion.
What's that?
Give him front row tickets to every game.
I mean, you give him the Jack Nicholson seats? Sorry, Jack. We got LeVar Ball here. Here's what I think that LeVar Ball might actually adjust his behavior based on this is I've spent very, very small fleeting moments in the presence of Magic Johnson, and I know you've spent a lot of time with Magic Johnson, but the magic is not just a basketball thing. The magic is him as a human being. The smile, the generosity, the warmth, the hug. You know, he's so not intimidating, but influential. Like if he asked me for my left pinky, I'd be like, take my right thumb. Just take it, Irvin. Just take it. And I feel like if anybody could do it, like I don't think anyone from the Bus family could calm down LeVar Ball, but Magic Johnson certainly could.
Two of my idols growing up, Irvin Magic Johnson and Isaiah Thomas. You guys see them now. You see their Hall of Fame accolades, their amazing multi-million-dollar smiles. You know the thing I loved about both of those guys the most, especially when I had veneers? They're ruthless competitors, and they will fight you. They will fight each other. Look over my shoulder. They kissed before the game, and before you know it, 5 minutes later, they was clotheslining one another.
I love it. Well, Jalen, I got something that you won't love. It's Detroit basketball time. Do you remember earlier in the season when we were celebrating the Pistons and they were the surprise of the league? Well, since they beat the Cavs, they won the next game, and now they have lost 7 straight games, Jalen. The Pistons are on a 7-game losing streak. And after the game on Tuesday, Coach Stan Van Gundy said, quote, "That is extremely bad basketball. That's one of the worst losses I've seen as a coach, and I've coached 850-something games in between regular season and the playoffs." Jalen, what is happening to your hometown Pistons?
Got to get back to that blue-collar mentality where you're playing harder than the opponent, you're sharing the basketball, and you're doing all of the dirty work. Andre Drummond grabbing every rebound, scoring on the post, catching lobs, making free throws efficiently. Tobias Harris back playing at an all-star level with his points up, his three-point percentage up. And the key for all of this has got to be Reggie Jackson. When you sign him to a mega deal like he got, he has to be the point guard that you can rely on a nightly basis to not only get buckets because that's the strength of his game and playing in pick and roll, but to make the guys around him better. But who's on the sideline? Stand by me.
He said it was one of the worst losses out of 850 games. The Pistons gave him one of the worst losses. You just blindly love this team, don't you?
Here's the thing. Are we going to be in the playoffs? Yes.
No. I'm going to go no. I'm going to go no.
I'll bet you the Cinnamon Challenge on this show that we make the playoffs this year.
First of all, I have to tell our listeners and viewers a little bit about the history. Bill Simmons once did the Cinnamon Challenge and then tried to get Jalen to do it. Jalen didn't just refuse. There was unequivocally, there's no chance I will never, ever, ever do it. And now you are saying that if the Pistons don't make the playoffs, you will do the Cinnamon Challenge? Accepted, my brother. Accepted. I cannot wait to see that.
And if they don't, you have to do it.
Light work. Come on. Jalen, everybody's talking about Aaron Rodgers because Aaron Rodgers went on his Instagram and posted a picture of himself in surgery, and the caption told everyone that he was medically cleared to return. The Packers need to basically run the table as they did last year to get into the playoffs. But the question is this: should the Packers start Aaron Rodgers with a slim chance to make the playoffs?
Absolutely. If they have any chance to make the playoffs and he's healthy, done his rehab, got the proper care from the doctors and the medical staff to put himself in position to return, and they have any sort of shot to make the playoffs, you must put them back in the lineup for the other 52 guys that found ways to win their last 2 games in overtime. And you know a part of them was thinking, man, we just got to give number 12 a shot. And we may have an opportunity to make the playoffs if he gets healthy and gets cleared.
See, I disagree. They basically need to win the final 3 games. But the problem is the opponents. They play the Panthers, the team with the most sacks in the league. And then they play the Vikings with a ferocious defense. And then they play the Lions, which is a terrible team. But still, if you think about it, the idea that this Packers team is going to beat the Panthers and then beat the Vikings, and then if Aaron Rodgers is still healthy and then beat the Lions, that'll put them at 10-6, which would get them into the playoffs most likely. But I just don't see that happening, and I'm concerned about Aaron Rodgers' health. The man had 13 screws put into his clavicle. 13 screws in the clavicle. There's a slim chance they make the playoffs. If I were the Packers, I would say, you know what? Thank you, Aaron. Hundley's going to finish the season. We'll bring you back next year. Is that not sound logic?
If I was doing a list of who I felt were the best football players in the NFL, I would put Tom Brady number 1. I would put Aaron Rodgers number 2.
Facts.
Regardless of position.
Facts.
So it amazes me, however, that I've had this conversation with multiple people I've seen this conversation be discussed, and I don't know if people are blinded by Aaron Rodgers' greatness, caught up in the hype, or just being groupies. So let me put this on wax. The Green Bay Packers will not win their last 3 games and make the playoffs.
It's not going to happen. I'll be shocked.
I'm not going to be able to do it.
I'm not even going to say I would be shocked, because I'm going to say it just flat out will not happen. But still, you think they should put him in the game, and I don't really understand why.
So, again, let me rewind the tape.
Hannibal Lecter.
How great did I say Aaron Rodgers was?
You put him at number 2 behind Brady, but it's really 1 and 1A.
Okay. He's done this before. He's talked about running the table, and his squad actually did it. And people are drawing on that like that has something to do with this year. It's a different football team. The other teams are different. The other teams are better. The Panthers are really good at football. Cam Newton has found his stride. Devin Funchess is going to be out there bossing up when he scores a touchdown. I don't think they're going to win their last 3 games. And if they win their first 2, I know I'm going to be right.
I love it.
It's only fitting. The guy that he threw a Hail Mary against and almost made me shed a tear as an adult against my Detroit Lions, it would mean no better fact for me than to watch them win their first 2 games and then the Lions beat them by 14 in the final game.
Well, there'll be a lot of attention on that Panthers-Packers matchup, but there'll be more attention on the game in Pittsburgh. The Steelers are one of the hottest teams in the NFL. They host the New England Patriots with a great record, but also with a terrible loss on Monday night. The winner of this game will most likely be the number 1 seed in the AFC. There's a lot of hype surrounding this game, and Mike Tomlin bought into it. Let's listen.
We're excited about being in the kitchen, if you will. It's good to be in the kitchen. The kitchen's in Pittsburgh, PA, this week in the National Football League and at Heinz Field. And that's where you want to be in the middle of December. So we don't take it for granted. As competitors, we're excited about it. But as professionals, we know that preparation is going to be required. So we'll spend the rest of this time putting ourselves in great position to perform in the manner in which we desire.
Jalen, do you like Tomlin buying into the hype of this big matchup?
I like the reference because I noticed it went over a lot of people's head. It made me realize that his statement was cultural.
Yeah, I had no idea what the kitchen thing was. I mean, I like it. It sounds cool. It gets me excited. But, honestly, I was like, the kitchen is in Pittsburgh?
I don't want to make it too cultural on our program because it'll really go over people's heads when I start talking about the back of somebody's hair on their neck. That's too far gone. But what I will say, here's a different level that everybody else could understand. In the kitchen is where you cook up. It's where you do all of the preparations. And then that's where you eat good. That's what he's talking about. This is our chance to set the table, bring the Patriots to our field, and eat good off of their plate even if we had to. And I remember being on this program, not that it's breaking news. I'm pretty sure maybe Einstein probably said this also. But there's no surprise that Big Ben, he was the one people didn't think, leads the league in passing yards. Le'Veon Bell leads the league in rushing yards. Oh, and Antonio Brown leads the league in receiving yards.
Did you just suggest that Albert Einstein gave analysis on the Pittsburgh Steelers offense in 2017?
I was in the kitchen when we came up with E equals MC squared.
You're the best. Jalen Rose, do you remember when Kevin Pritchard traded away Paul George and everyone was making fun of him, and now Victor Oladipo's playing well, Sabonis isn't bad? Well, Pritchard has taken it to a new level of competitiveness. He is now liking tweets about the trade. He's liking all these tweets. He's on Twitter just letting everybody know that maybe what they said about him and the Pacers was wrong. Jalen, do you like this level of competitiveness from the Pacers general manager?
I like what you did there. What's your word again?
Competitiveness. Competitive.
Of course I like it because I know you love it. And the thing about this is some people say, well, he's a professional. He's a general manager of the team. That should be beneath me. No, it shouldn't. I hear the criticism. I knew it was a big move. I knew what I was doing in return. I had confidence in my ability to pull off a trade that was going to benefit my squad. And like back in the day, they're all going to laugh at me. They're all going to laugh at me. And now look, Victor Oladipo averaging more points, more assists, and more steals for the Pacers than Paul George did last year.
Jalen, are you familiar with the Stars program that goes by the name of Power?
Absolutely.
Well, the future of Power was in jeopardy. There was a $200 million lawsuit levied against 50 Cent and others claiming that they stole the concept for Power. Don't worry. That lawsuit was thrown out by a judge. It is no longer valid. But in the hypothetical scenario in which this lawsuit forced the cancellation of Power, what would you do?
I'll stop watching TV. I will boycott for X period of time. I'm serious. Like, that is my favorite show. Like, Ghost and Tommy and Tasha. Like, that's my family. I need to see what's going to happen in the next episodes with Andre. And
you look so serious.
It's way too much that needs
you
to
look
get
so
played
serious.
out. No doubt.
Don't worry, you will see that.
Kanan is
Power,
now slim.
Power will continue.
So let me get this right. There's an individual walking this earth that went to court, hired an attorney, and said, there's a television show about a drug dealer that they stole that from me.
Yes, there's never been a television show about dealing drugs before in the history of the medium.
Got it.
And then we have this. Everyone's getting excited about the holiday spirit, and everyone's decorating their house and wearing sweaters. But we have a new holiday trend, and it's called Christmas eyebrows. Young ladies and young gentlemen are dressing up their eyebrows, making them look like wreaths, red and green, all up in there. Jalen, I'm in the holiday spirit. Are you? Do you think that Christmas eyebrows are cute, fly, or just dumb?
I love what you did there because that's my distinction. Either something is cute where it's like young, has no gender attached, just youthful enthusiasm, things you would wear during Halloween. And there are things that are fly, that are just a little bit older, a little bit more mature. And so I personally feel like this is way out of my weight class. I wouldn't do it.
Okay.
But I have no problems, individuals, especially 16 and under, doing such.
You made a crazy claim earlier in the show, and I'm going to make one now. I will wear Christmas eyebrows on this program if the staff can get it together. Moving on, George
there
and
are people
Amal.
that think you wear Christmas eyebrows every day.
Moving on, George and Amal Clooney. They've got twins. They're twin parents, just like I am. And when they fly, they hand out noise-canceling headphones to the other passengers around them in case the babies cry. Question for you, though, Jalen. Should babies be allowed in first class? Or should you have to stow your babies?
This has nothing to do with babies. This has something to do with the people when they say board in first class. All of the people that's all in the way like bumper cars. I got to do all that to walk through. Then I finally get to my seat. I'm trying to put my bag up there. I'm trying to put my suit hanging up. There's people that ain't sitting in first class hanging up a suit, hanging up a bag, trying to use the bathroom. Those individuals need to be arrested.
Today is Wednesday. What does that mean, Mr. Rose?
That we're going to dedicate our show to the more disciplined, the kinder, the gentler, the more sophisticated, intelligent individuals that sacrifice so much for so many women that are walking the face of this earth now and forever.
It's Woman Crush Wednesday. That means if you call 985-80-JALEN, you can leave us voicemails. But today we're just taking female voicemails. Reggie, let's play the first one.
Hey, yo, shout out to Reg and crew. Shout out. My name's Natasha. I just want to give a big shout out, first and foremost, to my husband of 10 years on his birthday today. This guy taught me the language of sports since I came from a Hispanic background where sports was nothing and salsa was everything. I love this podcast. I listen to it every day because of him. He introduced me to it, and I just fell in love with it. That said, Jalen Jacoby, soft move or boss move? My husband straight up told me he ain't interested in learning Spanish just because he ain't got an interest in learning it. And although I respect his directness and me not wasting my time trying to teach him, is this truly a boss move or is it a soft move? Because I felt like sports, for me, was a totally different language with terms and rules that took me years to understand when I met him. But I felt like being open to it pretty much helped me appreciate the game and the athletes that play, and I actually enjoy NBA and college games, something I never thought I would.
Hi, Natasha. Thank you very much for calling.
Shout out.
We appreciate your support. For those that don't know, and I'm sure you and your better half recognize, we support power couples, and anytime you can put in a decade, we salute you. No doubt about it. Continue to flourish and continue to prosper. We appreciate the fact so much that he introduced you to this program that he understands exactly where I'm about to go. And I'm going to start this with a little story. I remember being this kid, 89, in my Spanish class. Ha 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 ha. Who needs to learn Spanish? I ain't never going to Spain. Ha 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 ha. Now imagine if myself right now, working for ABC and ESPN, could actually speak Spanish and articulate myself the way I can in English. It'd be over. Like, people wouldn't even, like, people would have to carry me down the street. I would feel like I wouldn't even need to walk.
Say, no puedo hacerlo.
And so, I wish I had someone in my life that severely challenged me to do it. Times have changed. We now know what the majority in our country is projected to be over the next, say, 30 years or so, the majority. And based on that language is actually going to be common in the United States.
It already is.
So here's what I will say to you, Natasha. I got a challenge for you now.
Shout out.
You made a sacrifice and took the time and energy to fall in love with sports. In particular, this podcast. You know what he owes you in return? To allow you and/or Rosetta Stone or whoever else to teach him Spanish.
Of course. And I imagine this. I imagine that she has a Spanish-speaking family, you know? So if the in-laws, you want to be able to vibe with them. You want to be able to vibe with the in-laws, you know? Like you got to be able to do that. Natasha, just let him know that Jalen Jacoby thinks he needs to learn Spanish. You know, get him that Rosetta Stone and say, listen, when you're done listening to Jalen Jacoby, pop this in the trunk.
No doubt.
Thank you so much for the call. Next, we have a Twitter question. This one comes from Allie.
Shout out.
How long does the tree stay up after Christmas? Great question, Allie. Great question.
It depends on if it's a real tree and how heavy it is.
How heavy it is?
If it's a real tree and I'm responsible for moving it in and out of the home, and I'm going to have multiple multiple stab wounds on my arm and being all scraped up to move the tree in and out of the house, January 15th.
January 15th? No.
Now, if it isn't a real tree?
No. January 2nd. January 2nd's got to go. But here's another thing is, I did something new this year with my tree, Jalen. Went to a tree farm. They give you a saw. Your tree is still in the ground. It wasn't that more expensive. It wasn't more expensive. And you saw it yourself. You saw the tree down yourself. And the trees, you know what? They don't look as good as the trees you can buy at the other places, but there's just something that's more like organic about it. There's something that's better about the experience of me looking at my son and being like, the two of us cut this tree down that was living in the ground, and now here it is in our living room.
I love that. Those father-son stories.
It sounds like a father-son story, but it really was my wife's idea, and we did it because of her. Let's be honest. Let's be real. Thank you so much for the call. Let's listen to another voicemail.
Hi, Jalen and Jacoby. Shout out to Reg. This is Jana from Brooklyn. I just want to say a very happy birthday to the most amazing husband and soon-to-be father, Teddy from Brooklyn, age 34 today. I love you so much, honey. I have a question for you all. I'm wondering if it's a boss move or a soft move for a guy to wear his long johns or swim shorts under his clothes to work when he runs out of clean drawers. So that's my question. Boss move or something?
Oh.
Thanks.
Oh, I got that one. First of all, wearing your swim shorts under your pants is crazy. Second of all, just go commando. Just go commando. It's not a big deal. Go commando for a day. I can't sit here and speak into this microphone and act like I didn't go commando once in the last month. You know, you pack the bag to wear, you go to the gym, you work out,
man.
and then you look in the backpack and you're like, oh, I didn't pack any drawers. And there you are, putting the pants on with no underwear on. And you know what? I was thinking there's a very crowded locker room at the gym, and I was wondering to myself, I wonder if someone's watching me right now wondering why I don't have no drawers on. And if they're doing that, they shouldn't be watching me in the first place.
Oh, man. The way you have gone at least once within the last month and represented commando, which I appreciate your honesty, I've gone to the laboratory and was like, man, this water's cold. With that being said, thank you for the call, Jana. Big shout to Brooklyn, your husband, Teddy. Shout out. David Jacoby, you're from the East Coast.
Yeah.
I'm from the Midwest. I'm not wearing shorts on top of my long johns, but I'm definitely wearing them underneath my clothes if I can.
If it's cold
if
out,
no one's going to see them.
If it's cold out, you wear the long johns. But if it's the middle of the summer and you don't have drawers, you just go commando.
No,
it's that simple. The swim shorts I can't rock with. I don't wear Speedos, so the swim shorts I can't rock with. Like, I don't know how you even get those under there.
Maybe there's a reason why I was a part of a group that wanted everybody to wear long shorts. I'm not trying to do the soft porn thing. I'm good.
There you go. Thank you so much for the call. We've got another female voicemail on Women Crush Wednesday.
Shout out Ray Jackson. I saw him at the Texas-Michigan game last night.
Oh.
Hi, Jalen Jacoby. This is Diana calling from Sacramento. My question is for Jalen. I have an occasional potty mouth and would like to stop cursing. So, Jalen, what do you do in flagrant, immediate situations where you may not have the time to think before you speak? So, for example, when you open the refrigerator door and your beer falls to the ground and you want to shout the F-bomb or the foul poop word. Any advice would be greatly appreciated. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you for calling. Appreciate the love.
Good question.
Loving this Women Crush Wednesday. It's almost like anything else. You do it in phases. So, like, if you were going to stop cursing, what I initially did, hold on, this is my Uber.
What?
I'll be out there in 10 minutes, okay? Max 10 minutes. You at 200 Ronzo, ESPN? Right by Building 4, 200 Ronzo.
This is great.
R-O-N-Z-O.
See, this is the thing. It's not that complicated.
You drove too far. Just go right there to security.
God.
Follow your GPS where it says 200 Ronzo, R-O-N-Z-O.
It's so simple. Finding ESPN is the easiest thing in the world.
Hey, my brother, calm down. You're a little enthusiastic. Just calm down.
It's
I'm
all
trying
good.
to tell you how to get here.
Now you're in a fight.
It's 200 Ronzo.
Now you're in a fight with the Uber driver.
All right. Where do they got you now?
It's so easy to find ESPN in Bristol. There's nothing else there.
You at the entrance right now?
There you go.
Great. They'll let you pull in, and I'll be there in 5-10 minutes. They're going to let you pull in. Just tell them you're picking up.
This is too long. I've never talked to an Uber driver this long, in or out of the car. In the car, out of the car. That's the longest conversation I've ever had with an Uber driver. Ever. That's the longest conversation I've ever had with an Uber driver. We're definitely keeping that in the pod.
That's why I go by alias, and I think that ESPN's address is for public consumption. So,
oh, yeah, everybody knows where ESPN is.
So I don't mind saying that address on wax. Now, let me get back to the call. Initially, what you do is you give up all of the words that aren't allowed to be said on television. So if you drop something out of the refrigerator, you could probably say D-A-M-N or H-E-L-L. Or even ASS. Those are things that are allowed to be said on television.
Oh, so you phase it out. It's phases. There's levels to it. Because I know it's not an overnight thing. If you were like Jacoby, you can't swear anymore starting tomorrow, it wouldn't go well.
Just do it in phases. And then before you know it, here's when you will officially stop. It's almost like the person that smoked a lot of cigarettes and then stopped. And when you're around, or drank a lot and stopped. And then when you're around people that smoke a lot of cigarettes or drink a lot, you don't like the way they act or like the way they smell or how they change the more they drink or smoke, that's how you're going to feel about cursing. To the point where it's like, it's one thing that you're talking to me. It's another thing that you're cursing at me. And don't allow the person in you to be having a debate or an argument or getting into it. You're really not going to like the curse word. That'll make you stop a little bit faster. Good luck with your sacrifice.
So, Jalen, we're about to wrap up this pod, but I just want you to know, based on that phone conversation, what type of Uber experience are you expecting right now?
The type of Uber experience that he's still going to get a nice tip.
Of course.
We're going to have a safe, plentiful ride.
But he's going to ask you some questions, I can tell.
No, I'm not going to allow any person to ear hustle me.
It sounded like that sounded like a talker. It'd be like, oh, you're Jalen Rose. Oh, Fab Five. Oh, what's up with Chris Webber?
I go by an alias on my Uber name, so initially they don't know who it is till I get in the car sometime. But here's the other thing. We talked about Uber etiquette all of the time. I am not going to allow somebody to interview me. I am trying to enjoy my ride. It is not personal. I like you. I want to get to where I'm going, A to B. Please drive us safely. I'm going to take care of you. Thank you.
I always just put the headphones in. Headphones go in immediately. Immediately. Thanks so much for listening. Thank you to all the ladies that called and tweeted at us.
Hey, ladies!
We'll be back tomorrow with another dope pod to step to.
We're not done. We're not done.
Teacher.